I remember hearing something about you as a way for the universe to experience itself. It doesn't say anything about divine purpose or direction or that you are merely a creation, an instrument. It shows an intricate tapestry of each person as a thread, each knot, each color, your experience of being, your experience of the world in and of itself. I've been noticing more and more that the things I create for seemingly no reason sort themselves out to be, like sand in a sieve, something I've been trying to think about, some abstract, fluctuating, contorting air that I'm learning to discern and identify. I'm someone who has difficulty coherently communicating. And I think at some point I just gave up trying to, and it extended not only to those around me, but to myself. There was a divide, and this might be a way of unraveling. I wanted to overwhelm the things I was going to create with layers of supposed meaning, but it was counterintuitive. It was forced, strained, straying, lacking any intuition, purely intellectual. I had a conversation with my dad the other month. He heard me saying that I was trying to find something that I couldn't quite describe or explain, but I knew it was there. I was certain it was there. He pulled up our old wooden dining chair and said that perhaps he knew what I was talking about. Artists use art as a means of understanding, he said. That I was trying to understand the big question, that it unraveled into questions of existence, a higher power, and identity. I slept on it. I constantly feel as if I'm a fraud, a bluff. I think it was a way for me to distance myself from the things I felt about, because it was a web of me. It told too much. I just wanted to be. I just wanted to be the way I find stray lashes in the valley beside my nose, but our conversation, was this true? Was this merely a front, a facade, another little character trait I could tack onto myself without it being there, really? It felt too big for me, almost as if I wasn't deserving of having thoughts of this significance, but falling into place. It made sense, and I found my translation of this big question to be an understanding of the human experience. Essentially, everything we experience, or should I say I, is the human experience. Every intention, thought, word, sight, sound, prick of a needle is the human experience. I'm not trying to understand it in a traditional sense of the word. It's an innate click. Bringing something into the world is inherently narcissistic. It feels like playing God to make something exist simply because you choose to. A choice that is telling in how we do it, why we do it, and what we do. But we'll never understand anything except on our own terms. We'll translate and project and morph and duplicate, reproduce, but it'll never be what it is. I despise explaining myself. I find comfort in being cryptic and vague, knowing that it's safe with me. In its honest form, not watered down or stained or disfigured. I don't want you to understand. I want you to make of it what you will. Definition and destruction. Explanation defeats the point. It means containment, a halt of expansion, tunnel vision. Once something is defined, it's stagnant. Desquamating surface layers, a futile enumeration of materials and sizes, and how I nailed two pieces of wood together. A part of it, yes, but frankly not at all what I'm concerned about. Instead, we'll tread lightly on its inside, speaking in terms of terracotta, tender forms, roots, wine dark, sandcastles. We are used to dissecting our physical on a large scale, limbs and torsos and heads. When we see them microscopic, all we consist of are these charming singular forms, a collection of particles, tiles to compose you as the physical. It was amusing to see myself in a different light. While sensing a familiarity, a self-portrait of the organic, patterns in skin in playful, tender forms. The scale of detail, the familiarity it would take to recognize the dimples and freckles, the textures and contours of oneself, much less another. Non-duality is so fluid yet content in its non-definition, concrete. It's everything at once, a contradiction, an acceptance, a comfort. Duality is deeply embedded in us. Reality, appearance, self, other, past, future, true, false. All binary pairs that essentially cause fracturing and suffering. Non-duality is foreign to us as humans with such an innate desire to categorize and analyze instead of just observing, embracing the fluctuations and web of everything. Symbolism is a language in which roots and fruits and seeds can exist as facets of non-duality. Plants as an emulation of this constant, inevitable growth and decay that breathes at the center of it all, belonging. The nature of color, instinct and implications, the learned and the biological. The allure of color lies in shades and descriptive language. How months like October are green, and so is my mother and the number 2, but in a darker tone. Cones, the color perceptors, simplified and stylized into a stackable vessel set in blue. A peculiar color with a history of rarity and riches, a lack of words. In Homer's Odyssey, blue was described as wine dark. Red, yellow, green, black, white were all mentioned, but not once blue. Despite being set in between the 2 largest bodies of blue, the sky and the sea, not once was the color mentioned. And it's still inconclusive. Was Homer colorblind? Was the sea dark like Mavrodaphne? Was the alkaline water making wine blue? Or was it just an expression? There was a sandcastle, the type you make at the beach by gathering fluid sand and letting it slip in a stream from your hands through the fingertips to the ground until its crevices and soft worm take shape, take height, forming peaks, only to be washed down into the very substance it was conceived from. A sandy sheen. It lingered, nagging, urging. A stain was left, not a replication, an adaptation, a translation, and I didn't know why. Complete, a word that I detest its nature of having dead ends, the thought that there is a singular whole, not branches and streams, it crept up on me. In its temporary complete, the subject of mortality. Waiting for me to sit down with it, it just was. A franticness resided as I settled into the delicate pastry of blues and whites and greens. We are constantly trying to understand, to grasp, to make sense of, to rationalize, to put into little cells where we feel comfortable and safe, secure that we know. But we'll never know. People, places, everything, we'll never know. We only know things according to our terms, our human experience, what we absorb and contemplate, and beyond that, we don't. Solipsism is the view or theory that the self is all that can be known to exist. Are we taught what exists? I don't know what exists, what does not. What I perceive is my experience, and that is my existence. Even if I'm not existent in a traditional sense, in a sense that another sentient being will see, hear, feel it, that as I'm speaking this, it could all be in my mind. That is existence. My perception of life through my being. This is my form of understanding. The pieces are not the subject or the object. They are byproducts, documentations. It's a language in the subcurrents, constantly inhaled, absorbed, spilt. I don't want definition. I want breath. Tarkovsky said that the main goal of any art is to find a personal means of expression, a language with which to express what's inside of you, the things that sit at the bottom of the pond surfacing, thoughts and senses and sleep mulled over, found. I want to inhale everything and leave everything alone, untouched, simultaneously. Thank you.